East Idaho Newsmakers is brought to you by the Bank of Commerce, your bank of a lifetime.
This is East Idaho Newsmakers with Nate Eaton.
Welcome to East Idaho Newsmakers. If you have listened to the radio at all over the past nearly 20 years, you've probably heard this guy, Brad Barlow, Z103 morning jock, along with Tara, the Brad and Tara Show. He began on weekends years ago, and after nearly 2 decades, you've decided to do something a little different, Brad.
It's crazy. I can't believe it. Honestly, it's weird to use the word retire.
Yeah, because how old are you?
I'm almost 41. I'll be 41 in a week or something like that. Yeah, to use that word feels weird, but I kind of stuck with it because I thought, a lot of my people that I loved who played sports, they retired at 31 or whatever, and so I guess that's the word. It feels weird though. It feels really like I feel old saying that.
Well, and to make it clear, you're going out on your own terms. It's not like a lot of times in radio business, DJs are forced out.
I've heard people say my whole career, you're not a real radio guy until you've been fired at least once. And I haven't been. I haven't been many places, but I avoided that experience, and I'm glad I did.
and you've probably, if you haven't heard Brad on the radio, which if you haven't heard his actual show, you've also do commercials.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen him at games, at athletic events.
Yeah, because that's where I'm going. Is as a photographer, I mostly do sports pictures or pictures of athletes, senior pictures of athletes, and so maybe you see me out there doing that.
So let's go back to the good old days when you were born and raised here.
Yep.
In Idaho Falls. When did you decide that you wanted to do radio?
Oh, very young. When I was 5 years old, I got my first radio, and it wasn't something. I have kids that are in that range now, and they're getting more and more hands-on with it. But when I was 5, I was very hands-on. I broke a radio by the time I was 6 or whatever, because I would use it so much, play with it, probably try to get it to do things it shouldn't do or whatever. But I would listen to the radio, listen to the DJs. I would, with a cassette tape, record the DJs and practice what they were doing. I'd record probably some songs too, but I think I recorded the DJs more than I recorded the songs when I'd pop a cassette and hit the 2 buttons together, the play and the record.
You were more interested in what they were saying.
And yeah.
So you're 5 years old, this continues. When did you decide, hey, that's what I want to do?
Well, I was, I think, 15 when I was walking down the hallway at Skyline High School, and one of my friends said, "See that guy?" And okay, yeah. He works at a country station that doesn't exist in this town anymore, but he worked at that country station, like the radio station. And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what does he do?" And he'd pop CDs in and run the weekend countdown, the national programming, like the top 40 countdown for the week or whatever. He just would push those buttons. And I walked right up to him and I said, "You work at the radio station?" "Yeah." "How did you get there? How'd you get that job?" And it was through a program called Career Exploration. And I was like, "Get me signed up right now. I got to do that."
And then what? So
I told the teacher, I only want to take this class if I can job shadow at Z103.
You wanted Z103?
I wanted Z103. And she said, "Well, I can't guarantee that you'll get that or you'll even get a radio placement, but all you can do is try." So I signed up, said I wanted to be at Z103, and I got it. And I would go there for, I believe, second and third hour my junior year of high school. And it was about a month into that I, actually quite early into that experience, I said, "Is it cool if I come back after school too?" And they said, "Don't mess with anything and don't get in the way, but yeah, you can do that." So I would talk to the DJs, and I got one of them to help me use the production studio, and I said, how did you get on? This was a young guy too that I was talking to. "How did you get on the radio?" He said, "Well, I made what's called an air check, which is basically a tape of what you would sound like on the radio, and I submitted it and applied for the job, and I got it." So I did the same thing, and I'd been doing that kind of thing in my bedroom for years. And little did I know that I knew nothing about the formatics of it, but I was very comfortable talking over the intros of songs on a microphone because of a humble little kit that I had at home. So I submitted that to the program director, and I'm sure he went, this doesn't sound professional, but I can see that this guy has a leg up on anybody else who is brand new into this. Sure, let's give him a chance. And at almost 17, very close to being 17 years old, I walked in after school one day to hang out with the afternoon guy, and he pinches me on the arm and he says, just letting you know that you're not dreaming. And he says, take a look at the weekend schedule. And I walked over to the cork board, and the program director at the time would use a yellow pad piece of paper. So there's a yellow piece of paper with red Sharpie, and it had the Saturday lineup and the Sunday lineup, and 6 to midnight, Brad. And I'm like, what am I doing? Am I pushing buttons? And he goes, no, you're going live. I mean, I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it. It was a dream come true. It was amazing.
So you came up that first Saturday to do your show.
Yeah.
6 hours? Is that 6 hours?
Yeah,
on
6 hours. 6 hours at a shift that I feel like these days, if we told somebody, hey, this is your shift, they'd go,
weekend
Saturday night?
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm going to be on the radio when everyone's out listening, when everyone's out having fun, driving around Saturday night with their friends, and they'll be listening to me. I was so excited. I felt like I got the prime shift. You know, Saturday night, I felt like can you believe it? I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
So you come in, you start doing that shift, and you're still in high school.
Yep.
You graduate high school. Is that when you were hired full-time?
I actually got the afternoon shift 2 months before I graduated high school. I went to my last hour of the day. I can't remember if it was 5th or 6th hour, but it was chemistry. I went to my chemistry teacher and I said, I've been given an opportunity to do the afternoon show at Z103, so I guess I'm dropping this class. And my teacher in high school says, you're not dropping this class, you're failing it. and sure enough, I got an F in that class. But, and let me take you back a little bit to when I was still just interning and I wasn't on the air yet. And I told my mom, I went home one day and I told my Mom, guess what? I can go into this job right out of high school. I don't even need to go to college to do this. I just need to get the experience to know how to do the job. And my mom said to me, oh, you'll go to college. So that's what she said. She just goes, oh, you'll go. She didn't freak out. She didn't go, we have to have a talk. She just goes, oh, you'll go. And it was the last we ever talked about it. She never brought it up again. And I've asked her about that. I said, how come you never harassed me about that? She said, somewhere midway through your senior year, I just saw that it was working and you were doing a good job at it. And I went, well, maybe he can do this.
I like the story you told me a few days ago about when your dad came home from work.
Yeah.
Z103 used to be another type of music.
Yeah, it was called Z103, but it was a rock station. It was kind of like a classic rock station, and maybe some new rock, as new as it would get in that time. Radio is pretty conservative, and in our town it still is, but it was more so then, and so it probably didn't get too rockin'. But he liked Z103, the rock version, and then this new owner came into town, and he had a top 40 station in Twin Falls, and they switched this one to top 40 also. And my dad came home from work, and he says, well, they ruined my radio station, but I bet you're gonna love it. And I tuned in, and sure enough, I was hooked.
Loved it for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
So is radio one of those things, in TV news, you start in a small market like Idaho Falls, you put in your 2 years, you move to a bigger city, and your goal for most people is to get to the network, a big level, or to a bigger city. Is radio kind of like that?
I think it is for most people. And when I first started, I was set to, I was like, who knows where this job is going to take me? I might, I never had Salt Lake in mind, but I thought I might be living in, St. Louis and then maybe in Florida and one day I'll be in LA or I'll be in New York.
And is that what you wanted?
Absolutely. And wanted is a weird question for it because it's like, that's what I thought you did. I don't know if I wanted it or not. I probably thought I wanted it, but really I was just going, well, that's what you do. That's what you need to try for. And like I said, I never thought about Salt Lake. Well, that's where I ended up leaving Idaho Falls for First in 1998, September of 1998. I was only there 9 months, and I went, nope, I want to go back home.
In Salt Lake.
Yeah, I was like, Salt Lake's not for me. I want to go back to Idaho Falls. And that's when I first became program director at Z103, was when I was 23 years old and I came back from Salt Lake. You know what though, if I hadn't gone to Salt Lake, I don't think they ever would have taken me seriously as program director. Here. So yeah, I think the fact that I was able to go up to a bigger market made it so that everyone in the building could agree, oh, this guy's a big market talent. He can do this. Now, my main bosses back then, they believed in me. They absolutely did. But you need the whole group to believe in it. So I think the fact that I was coming back from Salt Lake made them go, we can sell this to the group, that he's ready for this.
You graduate high school, you're doing afternoons. The prime gig in radio is mornings, right?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't necessarily think of it that way at the time because I don't think I even thought of a future of talking about my opinions on the air. I thought of it more like, here's the song, or I'm talking to the artist, let's ask him a question. I think that's what I thought I would be as a radio guy, or here's what's going on this weekend. Come and join us and get some free hot dogs and balloons. I think that's what I thought I would be doing, and that's how you got a raise, though. That's how you got more money, was to get on the morning show. But it didn't take long before the task of a morning host was exactly what I wanted, and at that point, the idea of going back to a shift where it is an air shift where you're not talking about pop culture and sharing your opinion and talking about lifestyle. The idea of just selling records, that wouldn't have been fun.
So the morning show, you have more time to talk.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more personal. A lot of people know the morning show names. I mean, you're driving to work, you're waking up with them, and you have a little bit more freedom to do stunts. Is that what you're gonna call it?
That
maybe more back in the day.
That word is a word that I'm very passionate about, that I have a lot of opinions about.
Let's hear them.
When I first got into radio, I feel like stunts were everything. People were pulling pranks and people were doing unbelievable things. Like an example I always go to is, in a big city, a guy is in a town where the football team isn't winning. So let's say the Detroit Lions aren't winning. And so the morning host goes, I'm going to live on this billboard for the Lions, or maybe for his radio station, I don't know, but I'm going to live on a platform at that billboard with the lights shining on me until the team wins a game. And he might be up there 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and everyone in town is talking about it, and boom, his ratings are through the roof because he did this great stunt. And I did some stunts, was part of some stunts when I first got into it, because again, that's what you did. Did I love doing stunts? That wasn't even a question. It was just, it was part of the job, is what you did. But a day came when I went, stunts are not for me. What's the point? I don't want to be a show that disrupts life, that pulls you. Like, there's entertainers that and I don't think anything bad about entertainers that go, hey, you're in this world, but I'm gonna pull you over here and you're gonna be part of my world and you're gonna be fascinated by it. That's great, that's just not me. I'm more like, this is the world that you're in, hey, that's the world that I'm in too. And we're just having a conversation about it, So stunts have been something that I haven't done for a long time, that I've been, against for a long time. I think that we're just talking, on our show. We're just observers of the human experience and commentating on it, I guess.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, why you're deciding to give it up, the future of radio. Our podcast is going to ruin it, and what you've learned over the years, and any advice you might have for that 5 or 6 or 7 or 10-year-old kid out there saying, I want to be on Z103.
Okay.
We'll be back.
At the Bank of Commerce, we understand the hard work, determination, and sacrifice it takes to run a successful business. That's why we're here every step of the way to help make your dreams come true. The Bank of Commerce, your bank of a lifetime.
Welcome back. We're talking with Brad Barlow today here on East Idaho Newsmakers. You've probably heard him in the morning on Z103. He has recently announced that he is retiring, but you have a few more months. I mean, you're here till June.
I'm really glad about that too. When I realized last year on my first day of Thanksgiving break that, you know what, I'm ready. I'm ready to try this new exciting adventure in life. I thought, I wonder what they'll say. You know, when I go to the bosses, I wonder if they'll say, all right, well then is this your 2 weeks? Or I don't know, you know, but I said to them, I'm ready to move on and do something new, but I'm here as long as you need me, you know, like 6 months or whatever. And they said, we'll take it. and you know what? I actually am really glad now. I think that probably at the time I was like, I'm ready to do my new thing. But I think I'd be really emotional, right? And maybe I will end up being that way in 5 months. But I'm hoping that it makes the transition less emotional.
So why? I mean, I know the morning grind, getting up early, missing breakfast with your kids.
Yeah.
That can be tough, but you've got a lot of people listen to your show. Mm-hmm. You know, you're well known. It comes with some cool perks. Why?
I don't think I am interested in growing in radio. You know, I like where I'm at. I like what I've done. I like what I continue to do every day. But again, there's nothing there's not another level that I am looking. I'm not saying I'm there, I've arrived, I'm the best, but I'm not passionate about getting to another level. I'm good, I'm comfortable, but I want something like that in my career. You know, I want to work towards something, but there's not something more that I want from radio. But there is something more I want from photography, or more that I want to be more accomplished in photography.
B2X Photos. Don't go to their site now if you do open it in a separate window, but check out his work because it's really impressive. You focus on high school athletes. Mm-hmm. It's not the traditional, well, I don't know what traditional is anymore, but where you have the families all sit together and pose.
Yeah, yep. The traditional for senior portraits might be like well, I mean, you go back to like the number, you know, the year that you're graduating and leaning on the, you know, and, yeah. But it got to where it was taking a picture on some stairs in an alleyway. Not that I don't still take that picture. I'll take that picture. Or, you know, on the train tracks or whatever. I don't think I've taken that picture, but
you shouldn't.
Yeah, no, stay off the train.
I think it's illegal.
That's the main thing. I don't want to take any pictures that are dangerous or that are not allowed. I don't want to break any rules. That's just me. But yeah, I think that what makes my photos different and what makes them so unique is it really is customized for that kid, for that student. What are you into? What do you like to do? Let's take a picture in that world. I tell them when we start talking about like, oh, well, what should I wear and where should we shoot? I'm like, anywhere is perfect. Anywhere is perfect. We could take a picture in your garage. We could take a picture in your room. We could take a picture where you practice your guitar, and it will be perfect because it'll be honest. And I like to say bold and true. It'll be bold and true. So that's my vision with the work. It ends up being a lot of seniors, but you know, what inspires me though is just anybody doing something they love. The example I always give, because my dad's a plumber, if a plumber came to me and said, hey, I need pictures for the website, would you follow me around and just take pictures of me doing my work and then, and I'll buy those and put those on my website? I'd be in heaven. Because it's somebody doing what they love to do. And that's what I want to take a picture of, is somebody with a hobby that they love to do, a work that they love to do, the people that they love to do an activity with, but something that people are passionate about.
Mm-hmm. That's great, and that's what you'll be doing full time.
Yes. Yes.
So when you started in radio, back to talking about your soon-to-be former career, was the music on CDs?
When I first started, there were a few that were on CD. The rest of them were on these things called carts that looked like 8-track tapes, but you wouldn't rewind them. They were in a full circle. So the song would end, and then there would be a little cue tone on it, and it would fast forward back to the beginning, loop around back to the beginning, and it would stop exactly where the song was going to start. So then you'd put that thing into the player, and you'd hit it, and it was ready
So
to
you
go.
would load up the music in this player. Did you have a playlist
Yes. Yep.
that you built yourself?
No, the program director built.
So I think a lot of people that aren't in radio, I didn't know this till I moved here. The songs you hear are set by a program director.
Yep.
It's not like the DJ's in there randomly just throwing songs in.
They'll throw a request in,
Yeah.
but and maybe if there's a hot new song that they know just came out that day, they'll break the format, but it's really there so that you don't have to go, what next? Well, what did the guy that just got off the air, what did he play in his last hour? I don't want to play that too close. So it's laid out so that you have something that flows nicely, but you'll break it for a request.
Now everything's digital.
Mm-hmm. And there was a time that we had an automated system of CDs. What it would do, we had these 3 rows of 6-disc CD changers. We had, I think it was 12 of them, and so it was, what is that, 144, 12 times 12?
I think so.
I think it was 144 slots that a CD could go into. And it would use a computer program software to queue up the next song, but there was a limitation from that you couldn't play a song from the same 6-disc changer. So even if this song would sound so cool going into this song, no, sorry, they're in the same cartridge, so you can't do that. But when we then went to where it was digital, like a lot of people experience in iTunes or whatever, that was really exciting.
Would you say that that's been the biggest change in radio over the course of your career, the technology?
I would say that the biggest change is what we were talking about earlier, going from, and again, it's not every DJ that's done this, but going from, you guys, we need to come up with something, we need to get people talking, we need to do something crazy, going from that to be yourselves, connect with the lives that people live, going from becoming so real, I think is the biggest change.
Have you gotten to meet any famous pop stars over the years?
They're all from, 10 or 15 years ago. I've met, I don't want to offend any of them by saying
that they're from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, but I've met Alanis Morissette and Mark from Sugar Ray and Third Eye Blind and...
Has there been one favorite, like one, like...
I always give this example, Mark from Sugar Ray, the experience of, I'm backstage and there's food and there's drinks and whatever, like that was the most like that. The rest of them was just like, you're wearing your little tag, they come through, you shake their hand, maybe you get an autograph, take a picture, and then they move on. It's just a line of people, I'm passionate about that subject too. I always tell, because when we go and speak to kids at schools, that question will come up. Have you ever met anybody famous? I really do think, and I think this is true of you too, I really do think that I could meet every famous person that comes to this town. I think that I could make a phone call and either in an interview in an official capacity or even just as a favor, meet, whether it was, David Archuleta or Mitt Romney or whoever was in town. I bet I could arrange an opportunity for a handshake, but I have never been into that just because I feel like, maybe they love it. Maybe they love meet and greets, but I've always felt like that they were just like, I gotta do this meet and greet and then I can go do my art. And I'm like, no, I don't want to get, you came here to do your art. I like your art. I'm going to come and cheer for your art. I'm going to pay money to see your art, but you didn't come here to meet me. Yeah. So I've never really been into meeting celebrities.
It's funny you say that. In the beginning I was.
Yeah.
I liked it, and the big name politicians, but I have found that probably you have, that you rarely get any substance or news or anything new out of those interviews. Right. They're such professionals at giving them, and a lot of times they're very friendly. and you feel good. But sitting down with you today, I feel like I learned more about you and the subject than sitting down with a Brian Seacrest or anything, you know?
I'm glad you said that. That's another thing. That comes into something that I feel with my photography. When I first started with my photography, I'm sure that I was like, oh, can you imagine if I could sit front row at a Lakers game or Utah Jazz game or whatever? Oh, that'd be so cool. Can you imagine if I could get a picture of LeBron James and I was sitting right there and I got a picture of him dunking or whatever? But let's say I did. There's a lot of those. Google it. There's a lot of those. I could take the best picture that I have ever shot of LeBron James wanting a foul call, really animated and just a great moment, and it could be a picture that I look at and go, this is the best picture I've ever taken. And I could walk up to him and show the back of the camera and he's going to go, yeah. Whereas I take a picture of a 11-year-old running back at a Grid Kid game, and I'm really excited about that picture, and I go and I show that back of the camera to mom, and that is amazing. I would much rather have that. I have zero interest in becoming a pro sports photographer or a celebrity music photographer. Zero interest. I am a servant to this community, and I've always felt that way. I want to serve this community, and I don't feel like I'm a different servant or a special servant. All of us who are working in this community, we're all servants. But I like that role. We help each other. I do something that you don't know how to do, and then you do something for me that I don't know how to do. I'm just playing my role in town.
What have you learned over the years? What's the main thing you've learned?
Be honest. When you're honest, you will turn off people, but you will also attract people, and then you will be surrounded by the people that you want to be surrounded by.
Good lesson that can apply to everybody.
Yeah.
There's going to be some kid out there watching that says, man, I want to take that job. I want to be on Z103. I want to be playing the songs. What would you say to them?
I always think, people ask if I was a class clown in school, and I would say yes, but I was the kind of class clown that the teacher would laugh with too, and the teacher enjoyed also. I think that there are definitely radio professionals that are the type that the teacher would hate, you can make it work that way, but I think you're much better off being the kind that that the teacher. This is an adult. You have an opportunity to do a routine in a classroom for your peers, but also for an adult. You have an adult right there, and if you can get that adult to laugh, then you're being intelligent. You're being charming and creative. And reaching that level, and so I would say to them, when a radio DJ is an entertainer, and that is a great opportunity. School is a great opportunity to sharpen your skills as an entertainer, but not just for your peers, also for the adult.
Well, you are a regular guy who has had a really cool job, and a lot of people respect you, and everybody that, you mentioned Brad Barlow, if you know Brad, he's really nice, he's genuine, he's sincere.
My mom would appreciate that.
Yeah, well, your mom, I know, has sent us news tips, so
yeah.
Thank you to Brad's mom. You're still on the radio through June.
Yep.
Z103 every morning. And Jacoby is joining the show with Tara, and then he'll be kind of transitioning into your role.
We're all three doing the show together. We'll take it in phases, He'll get used to being in that room, and like I said, first you're by yourself and learning to talk in a group, and then maybe he'll take on this additional duty, and then actually start taking some away from me. So I could see where he and I might kind of switch, duties in the morning.
The nice thing is that Brad's not going to a bigger market, so we'll still see you around.
Lots and lots.
And you can also check out his Facebook page and his photography page that we will include down below. Brad, thanks for talking here with me on East Idaho Newsmakers. Thank you for watching. Have a good week.
East Idaho Newsmakers is brought to you by the Bank of Commerce, your bank of a lifetime.